clicker. Okay. That's the thing that's running. Okay. And then I'm That's kind of creepy. I could do that. Like, yo, tell me about that. This.
Hey, quick question. How do you switch? How you switch over to live camera?
So just on the right hand side, go over to brand.
Good morning, everyone. I know we've got a few folks coming on in, so please do come on down. There's plenty of room up front here for folks that are streaming in. And welcome to folks that are signed in online for this campus update. I know that we've got a lot to cover because I've seen the deck and I'm like, holy cow, are we gonna be able to do all of that in that amount of time? So we're gonna get Boogie in. And I've got a few slides to kind of run through, and some of them are just really cool pictures of how gorgeous it's been this fall, and people like being outside and smiling and all of that great stuff that I didn't feel a lot of last year. So I'm just kind of going to immerse myself in those good feelings and tidings. And whether it was our composer in residence, Malik Jandali, kicking off Pianos for Peace here in Charlotte, which we got a lot of great attention for, and celebrating some of the incredible achievements of members of our community. It has been fun to be back on campus and to not have everyone looking at me like I was the sheriff and I'm getting everyone in trouble and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Like they're like eyes up, like looking at each other and saying good morning and things like that. But we also got a chance to celebrate some incredible achievements that happened over the summer. I never tire of celebrating our two-time gold medal winner, Hannah Aspden, who made us so proud at the Paralympics in Tokyo. This is her hanging out with a lot of cool people, including celebrating Hannah Aspden Day in the city of Charlotte. And I'm thinking of our university advancement folks and in our external relations team that have coined the term for a way of describing October as Rocktober. Which has been incredibly appropriate, and want to thank them for doing an amazing job at juggling all of the requests and events that we've been putting on in this facility. And that included an amazing event with Trombone Shorty that kicked off our Arts at Queen series, including a smoke machine that provided nice pictures. And yeah, you're looking at one of those pictures, but it was a great night. And to think back to February of 2020 when we had Sutton Foster on this stage and we thought, here we go, man, we are really going to be in full gear, and then having to shut down. It's fantastic to be able to fully leverage the facility. And That included last week, we had our Fall Learning Society speaker in this facility, and that was Dr. Lisa Genova, the noted neuroscientist and prolific fiction writer. I think she's a great answer, right? When parents are asking you, well, what are you going to do with a liberal arts degree? Well, I don't know. I mean, Lisa Genova went to Bates and got a great undergraduate liberal arts degree, and she's a neuroscientist and a New York Times best-selling author for fiction. And so she had a wonderful lecture here, capacity crowd, and we really, really enjoyed that. We also enjoyed last week. How many people have had a chance to get outside and see the Shepherd Ferry mural that now graces this building, named Embrace Justice? And Shepherd gave a great panel discussion on Friday, which was led by our students, which I've for whatever reason, I've attended a number of great art talks, and that was one of the best. And the fact that, hat tip to Mike Worth for getting Shepherd here and teeing that discussion up. Absolutely. But after the introduction, Mike sat down and our students took the mic and really asked some really insightful questions that prompted some thought-provoking responses from Shepherd, and really a wonderful, wonderful day. And of course, I'm hoping that all of you know that Shepherd was smart enough to send his mom to us back in the 60s to attend Queens, and his sister also attended Queens and was part of the class of 65. But it is a really, really, really beautiful mural, and we're proud that it graces our community. We also celebrated this fall our joining a really elite group of schools, being a member of the Davis United World College Scholars Program and becoming a partner institution is something that we've been working at for a couple years. One of the things that program requires was having successfully recruited students before we could become members. So I want to give a big hat tip to our admissions team and all the people that helped to make that possible. And now when you go out to their website, we're quite proud that we're the 99th Davis UWC partner. And in North Carolina, just to give you a sense of it, the schools that are also partners are Davidson, Duke, Chapel Hill, and Methodist. And on their website, they list everyone in alpha order, and so you get NYU, Northwestern, Occidental, Pittsburgh, Pomona, Princeton, and then you get to Queens. So it's a great neighborhood to be in. We're going to really enjoy that relationship and get wonderful students from all over the world. Wanted to kind of put out in the open and create some transparency around a topic that I'm sure folks have been kind of getting nibbles of information about. And my glasses are totally going crazy with the fogging here. And Queens has asked itself questions over time about athletics on many different occasions. Before I got here, right, there was a feasibility study that asked a similar question. Are we competing at the right level? Should we be adding football? And you may recall that both of those conversations ended in no, we shouldn't be moving to a different level, and no, we shouldn't add football. But I think in a continuing, good fiduciary way, the board has asked us to assess who we are as an institution. Who do we compete with? Who do we want to align with? Who do we think are good kind of co-branding opportunities? And so we're asking that question again. Are we in the right neighborhood? Is the South Atlantic Conference the right neighborhood to be in? And are we competing at the right level? It's a sincere question. There is no, outcome that is guaranteed or, anything that's a requirement. It's not a pro forma exercise. And there's a whole process behind it. But one of the things that I would add is, long before I got here, athletics became a really, really big deal, right? Having more than 30 teams and heck, almost 40% of our undergraduate institution is our current state of affairs. And I didn't, most of the folks on this leadership team didn't have anything to do with that. So what we're asking, again, sincerely, is there an approach that potentially gives us a little bit more return on investment for already having a big deal athletic program? So we've retained the service of a consulting company called Collegiate Consulting that has worked with pretty much every other school that has contemplated a division jump. And they are wonderful because they have all of the data sets of all of the schools and all of the conferences. They've got great relationships with, the folks that run the different conferences. They've worked with about 575 institutions that have asked similar questions. And then we're standing up a somewhat of a task force or steering committee that will be, some of you in the audience have already been invited to that conversation. It'll have faculty representation, athletic representation. It'll have trustees. It'll have senior administrators. And we'll really break this work down to rigorously ask ourselves, can we contemplate doing athletics at a different level? So stay tuned for more information about that as we continue with that work. So a couple things. There is zero, predicted conclusion of this. And we are very, very successful in what we do right now, and we can continue on that path for very, very, very many years. So nothing is baked, nothing is guaranteed. We talked a lot with our trustees about that and several other things because among having lots of events, we had a trustee meeting. They were on campus, had a little bit of a hybrid kind of presentation. And one of the things that we always want to do with our trustees is ensure that they're learning about the higher education community and market and opportunities kind of with the leadership team so we're making good decisions. And so it was a real pleasure to bring in Dr. Nathan Graw, who, if you read the kind of higher ed press, seems to really be called upon pretty often because he's an economist that studies our industry and has spent a lot of time really looking at the different demographic changes and shifts around the country. And he's put out a couple very popular books. The first one that got him on the radar was Demographics and the Demand for Higher Education. And most recently, he's come out with the Agile College. So it was really fantastic to hear from him, to present to our trustees. And then we've also been pretty out front about our need to adapt to the changing landscape and the needs of 21st century graduates to have a lot more information and data analytic and data science skill sets and backgrounds. And so we thought it was a good idea to bring one of the most successful folks in our Charlotte community, the CEO of a great company called Stratified, Dr. Derek Wang, to also lead us in a conversation about what does the future of data science look like and what's happening in Charlotte. As most folks know, we've invited a lot of companies that have data intensive needs, and there's a real challenge right now satisfying the hiring needs of all of these companies, and he's got some great insights on what that experience is like on the front line. We work really hard, all of us, to provide a world-class experience and education for students. And we had one of the, I think, two of the things that make American higher education stand out is the academic freedom, right, that we provide that is different than lots of other countries. And the way we partner with private philanthropy to make all of that happen. And all of that happens here at Queens. And we have a number of really fantastic donors that it was great after a year off. We were able to have the Royal Society event in this particular Sandra Levine Theater. And we showed it in a video that our communications and advancement teams worked on together that I think does a brilliant job, at least for me, of kind of telling the story of why we do what we do. So I hope you won't mind me ending my section before passing it on to Maria, I think, on the other side of this video, of showing you hopefully something that gets you excited, puts you in touch with why you do what you do for this community.
Every journey has a starting point. Each student has a moment when talent and passion meet opportunity. At the intersection of challenge and support, self-discovery fuels breakthroughs, and leaders emerge prepared for what's next. I grew up loving music. It possesses this very real, very unique power for connection and healing. And my journey as a music therapist took shape here.
I discovered the pool offered a level playing field and the chance to push my limits. At Queens, there's so much opportunity, and our potential for greatness accelerates with every step of our collective journey.
I've always had a knack for chemistry, and that talent has magnified since I got here, rippling out in new directions. I'm not afraid to take risks. I believe challenges make us stronger, and innovation only comes when we're willing to lean into the unknown.
I'm still not sure what the future holds, but whatever it is, Queens is prepared for it.
My professors push me in the classroom and believe in my abilities.
My coaches, professors, all of us, we're one team, one family.
Here, my voice is heard. I'm given the freedom to be myself and chart new opportunities for change.
Here, strength comes from within.
Practice makes perfect.
And curiosity knows no bounds.
I believe these graduates will create a better tomorrow. Where we go next, that's up to us.
So I'm Maria del Carmen-Flores. I'm the Vice President of Student Engagement and Dean of Students. I've been put toward the end of this campus update for the last several times, so I finally raised my hand and said, listen, I need to get through my slides this time. So they graciously bumped me up to the top. So in terms of our return to campus, it was a little surprising that we ended up kind of where we left off last spring, and our residence life staff jumped into motion, and we isolated 27 students and quarantined 15, like right at the very beginning of the semester, delivering lots of meals and keeping our students connected to the classroom. We also conducted a survey within residence life that provided some really interesting feedback, and we got 88% of our first year students to respond to that. And I think you can see here, you know, likely some things that won't surprise you, right? Some homesickness, some, you know, connection with roommate kind of stuff going on. But what I was really thrilled to see was that 69% at the end, right? Reporting all well and no concerns. So that felt like a really, really good place to be this fall. In diversity, inclusion, and community engagement, we celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month. We had a lunch and learn out on the quad. That's one other thing we've been really working to do, is to move our stuff outside so we can drop our masks and be in community with one another. It was a fantastic event. Had some music in Trexler and a photographer that was doing amazing work in the basement, doing a talk and showing some pictures through the pandemic. We also did LGBTQ plus History Month, had some connections with lunch and learns. We did some safe zone trainings, trying to get our campus in a point where everyone's feeling included and welcomed. We also had the opportunity to work with some NCICU schools to do a minority male mentoring program. There's been some research indicating that the retention in this group is particularly tough. And so trying to try some new initiatives and new programming to see what we can do to course correct some of those numbers. And Daryl White's heading that initiative up here on campus and is getting kicked off here in the last couple of weeks, but also working with some other schools across the NCICU to share ideas and hopefully make some good progress. We also had the lead mentoring program that was a huge success. You can see by the pictures here. Peyton Bird, our DICE graduate intern, was really the head of that. And we had our current students welcoming and mentoring and connecting our incoming students, which is always another really good retention strategy. From health and wellness, clearly still doing a lot of surveillance testing, doing a lot of follow-up, and then, the sniffles and the regular things that are coming out as well. Got our counseling services running, having had 397 sessions. They're back in person as well, reporting that that's just, while you can use Zoom to do those kinds of meetings, the staff is just incredibly grateful for the opportunity to be back in person, which without our vaccine mandate really would have been a really tough thing to do. So we're really excited to be offering those sessions as well. Doing some outreach as well, trying to work towards some suicide prevention programming, some good mental health, and trying to keep all of us in a good place. We also welcomed Cheryl Johnstone, our new nurse, who's going to be joining us as the health and wellness nurse and doing some biometrics and being out on campus as well. So you can see there's the COVID-19 tests. We had like 540 of them. So kudos to that staff and our athletic training staff who are doing a ton of surveillance testing and really doing an amazing job to keep our campus healthy and safe. So our flu shots are out and available, and there has been quite an uptick in flu activity this year. I think probably a few less masks and masking mandates and less hand washing and that kind of stuff. So please make sure you get out and get your flu vaccine. And one of the things that I didn't realize as of last year is that when you get your flu shot here on campus, you help provide flu shots for other people. We get reimbursements that then allow us to offer for free to our entire community. Student engagement, been super active, had an incredibly successful family weekend. We had our welcome back coffee. Once again, just so grateful. And our students really happy to see one another, to be in person around the Diana Fountain, picking up their coffee and their free breakfast. Our clubs and orgs fair was kicked off again, and it was kind of like breathing new life into all of those organizations and providing those co-curricular experiences and connections for our students was really exciting. Our religious and spiritual life, likewise, back up, running, and off. That we've got our service projects, bag lunches for the roof above. I love this community. I think we've done a phenomenal job of being such a good partner to those in need in Charlotte, providing lunches on a regular basis. Nurturing, trying to provide some of those moments of reflection, opportunities to connect with people, and to acknowledge the presence of different communities within our community. And then all those opportunities to learn as well. Our Interfaith Leadership Institute we had running, and the Interfaith Habitat for Humanity build is going to be happening in this spring. So incredibly exciting, and still to come. Have a lot for December and upcoming in through this spring. The Presbyterian and Pluralist Week, we shifted from the fall to the spring. And so we're looking forward to all that we'll bring for our campus this spring. So I always get the pleasure of talking about COVID. It's one of my greatest joys here in my role. This slide is just really intended to show what I talked about a little bit earlier, right, where we started with some pretty substantial numbers, and I really do think that Delta variant was quite active within our community as we started. But as you can see, and I always knock on something as I do this slide, right, we definitely have to knock, that we've had such a great trajectory. And I do want to just thank everyone here in this room for everything that you have done to put us in this position. I am thoroughly convinced that it has to do with the fact that we're vigilant about mask wearing inside, that we're washing our hands, and that we're taking all of this, continue to take all of this seriously, including getting those boosters for our vaccines and to be present with our students as they make all these kinds of decisions as well. And so just want to thank everyone who does that, who gives the gentle reminder, as President Lugo was saying, I felt like the police too, right? And now it's just really a matter of a quick eye glance, but as you have your colleagues help you motion for people to pull their masks up over their nose, it's really an incredible help. And it really creates this sense of continuity within our community where all of the expectations are consistent across our campus. This too indicates Oh gosh, can you read? Our vaccination levels, I think that's another reason why we've been so incredibly successful. And again, want to just thank everyone for all that they've done to encourage folks to get vaccinated, to submit those records. It was a really heavy lift, but we've done a fantastic job. And sitting at 92%, I think that's just really benefited our entire community. Quarantine, thank you. I couldn't see. So yeah, thanks to our vaccination efforts, had cases in the spring where we were taking one person who got sick and then quarantining like 10 people, sometimes 12, depending on how active and popular the person who got sick was. And with our vaccines, that just really came way down, because if they were vaccinated, there was really nothing that you had to do if they were exposed. And so it's just been incredibly helpful in terms of trying to get our logistics under control and keeping people active and safe within the community. And Cheryl Johnstone, are you here? There she is. Hey, welcome, Cheryl. It's our new health and wellness nurse, going to help continue to keep these trends alive, and we're so glad to have you. Welcome, Cheryl. So thanks for letting me go, and I didn't even have to talk at top speed. I appreciate that. I'm going to pass off to my colleague, Mary Alice Boyd.
Good morning. Thank you, Maria. Our Board of Trustees and President's Cabinet have approved our final operating budget for the current year. In doing this work, we did have a revenue miss of about $2.5 million when compared to our preliminary budget projections. A large portion of this comes from enrollment. We had about 95 less students than anticipated in our first year, our returners, and our transfer populations. In order to maintain a balanced budget with a small surplus, we were successful in being able to solve for this loss on the expense side with lapsed salaries from our open positions and then reductions in maintenance and contingency budgets. This final budget will be rolled out to my reports next week, and you'll be able to have access then. I would like to remind everyone to complete their information security awareness training course on Canvas by Sunday. As cyber attacks and security breaches continue to happen regularly, this is an important step to keep our community aware and alert of these potential risks. Lastly, we are cleaning out our Queens storage unit and would like to give you all the opportunity to look over those contents. We'll be there this Wednesday, this week from 11 to 1. I've posted a few pictures of the contents on the My Queens finance page, and there'll also be more details in Q News tomorrow. Thank you, and I am going to hand it to Adrian.
Thanks, Mary Alice. Good morning, everyone. You're used to seeing, if you've been with the community for a couple of years, some different numbers than the numbers that we have on the screen. We have historically been looking at our overall prospect numbers, our inquiry numbers, applicant numbers, and enrolled numbers. And over the last couple of years, our prospects have been going up and our inquiries have been going up, but our enrollment has not been going up. You heard some of the effects of that and the implications from my colleague Mary Alice just now. So in addition to watching prospects and inquiries, which I can report are up compared to last year, I think it's really important that we're tracking some different things. So we know that this place, people fall in love with it when they come to visit campus. The absence of a campus visit in the pandemic times was felt a lot by this community. And so we had our very first Discover Queens event a couple of weeks ago in person, which was really awesome. The numbers were a little bit smaller overall, but the actual show rate was up. So students who are engaging with us are really serious about Queens, which is a good indicator. So you'll see in our campus visits that compared to last year, we're up, and those visits were largely virtual visits, and this year they're largely in-person visits, so that's a really good sign. We still have a ways to go to catch up with our pre-pandemic visit numbers, but given that we are still very much in a pandemic, I think the indicators are looking good. Also important to note are our outreach efforts. These are actual things that our admissions officers are doing, going out to visit high schools, meeting with students one-on-one, and proactively encouraging students who we've connected with to apply. So these will be important numbers to watch as we move through this application season. And right now, I'm very happy to say that they're working. It's still very early. We just cracked 1,000 applications overall as we march toward hopefully 4,000, which will help us reach our goal. But this year is the gold line, and so for the first time, just in the last week, we started beating last year and 2 years ago pre-pandemic application levels. So huge shout out to the admissions, student financial service, and marketing and communications teams. It's really been a team effort in getting us to where we are right now. It's also been a team effort that involves many people in this room. I mean, we had representation from all areas of campus for our Discover Queens programs, both virtually and in person, just in the last 2 weeks. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing in inviting new community members to be Royals. The numbers are starting to line up with the effort that is going into recruiting our new class. Thank you. And in addition to the great work we're doing over in enrollment and student financial services, we are also partnering with the firm Truth and Consequences to help us update our look and feel and messaging so that what we are saying to the world about Queens really aligns with the strategic framework and the vision that we have going forward, so that it is future oriented, future focused, and so that what we say really represents the work that we're doing as a community today and the work that we're doing as we plan for our future. So this work will happen throughout this academic year at least, and our partnership will continue for a couple of years so that our Queen's story is the story that matches the great people of this community. Lastly, I'd like to welcome Morgan Williams, our new marketing and communications coordinator. I don't see Morgan here today, but she's been really active on social media, so check out our Queens accounts if you haven't recently. You'll see a noticeable change just in the last month that Morgan has joined us. Up next, Sherry.
Good morning, everyone. Raise that up just a little bit there. I'm going to hit some highlights in athletics. I'm going to access my northern roots and talk a little fast so that we have time to hear from my other two colleagues. Here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about, it's already November, which is almost, it's almost November, right? Hard to believe. We have already activated on a couple of conference championships. And here, what you will see is our triathlon team. And we won 3 championships, men's club, women's club. And then the women's NCAA Emerging won the East region to advance to the nationals in Tempe, Arizona. You'll also see Jan Lucas Becker, who won as an individual in the South Atlantic Conference cross-country championship this weekend, leading his team to a second-place finish. And you will see Fatima Alanis, who was Freshman of the Year, and I think it's also notable that she competed last weekend in the triathlon championships, leading her club team to the championship, and she is clearly not only talented, but also very busy. So staying on the theme of cross country, you'll recognize that our women are currently 8th in the country. The men are currently 18th. But a national recognition that we recently received was Charisse Carrera, who was a National Athlete of the Week. And that's a pretty phenomenal accomplishment. You might also notice that she is a freshman, I believe. As we transition into winter sports, they started back on October 15th. Of course, swimming's been in the water since September. But I want to bring your attention to a national power ranking of our men's basketball team, which is number 8 in the country. So definitely picking up where they left off pre-COVID, I would say. And you'll also notice that Coach Lundy is also positioned on the screen. And he is, in his next home game, will be vying for his 400th career win over a 20-year history as a head coach. So it's certainly something to be celebrated, and hopefully you'll all be there to enjoy it. I also want to acknowledge Mike Fowler, he's kind of our student athlete highlight off the court. He is one of just 10 men's college basketball players, I want to make sure I get that right, across all 3 divisions that has been recognized for his outstanding community service efforts. So I think that's definitely notable and should be celebrated. He's an outstanding individual. Want to talk a little bit about rugby. There's been quite a bit about our rugby program in a variety of different ways, but I want to bring into focus that they moved up a division this year, and they are currently 7th nationally, and they will play their senior day on Saturday at 1 o'clock out at the sports complex. Keeping with that theme, this is probably what you've been hearing a lot about, is the Scrum movie, which is a documentary that they actually started prior to our championship run by Thomas Morgan, and it has definitely gained some traction. It is a phenomenal documentary. It was previewed out in California. It was brought here a couple of weeks ago to the Charlotte Film Festival, and I think there's going to be a lot more to come. But if you do have an opportunity, it's scrummovie.com, and you're gonna see a lot of folks that you know. I want to also bring into focus kind of a unique partnerships. We have a lot of partnerships in athletics that allow us to do what we do, but this is especially a privilege to welcome the United States Field Hockey Team to Charlotte, but also to Bassant Field out of the Queen Sports Complex at Marion Deal. This is a snapshot of the celebration that we had when we announced the partnership. And it's going extremely well, and we look forward to continuing hosting them as our temporary home or their temporary home for the next couple of years. And last but not least, we have a few folks that are new to our staff, but 2 of them are not new to Queens. Montrell Morgan is a Queens graduate. He'll be helping out with our men's soccer team. Vincent Schneider, he has 2 degrees from Queens, and he will be helping with track and field. And then Kristen Shalaski, who has joined our staff with women's rugby. So welcome all 3 of them to the Queens family. And I'm going to turn this over to Jen Erickson.
Good morning. Good morning. So President Lugo already talked about Rocktober, and I feel like I wasn't here for Pat Bentar. I couldn't make it, but I feel like she could have been standing right here rocking out. I don't know, right there? I know Trombone Shorty was up and around and everywhere, but it's pretty amazing. I mean, the point is that there's been over, to my math, 4,000 to 5,000 patrons. Someone please, in external relations, tell me if that's not right. But does that sound right to you? Like, that's a huge number. And so, that takes this amazing amount of talent to bring an amazing amount of talent to the stage and to other venues on campus. So I just want to give a special thank you to the external relations crew. Mostly are sitting right here in the front and center. Thank you so much. As you can see here on the slide, external relations is a front door to this institution. They manage a lot of really wonderful relationships. They bring people close. They rally individuals of all kinds, friends and donors and community members around this institution in really powerful ways. And thank you so much for all of that work. It's incredibly powerful. These events have allowed us to have President Lugo be on stage a lot more, right, President Lugo? And lots of remarks, lots of aligning the strategic framework, elements to, aligning it with our programming, which is really what we want to do. And that's being super strategic. And there's a lot more to come. So that's just the way that we want to, be strategic moving forward. And what that does is it creates momentum in philanthropy. And so right here, you're seeing 3 categories here. The current operations right now, you're seeing a 5-year year-to-date bar here. So what you want to do is look at the far right bar where it says FY22. And what you want to do is you want to see an increase in all of these categories from last year, because that means it's reversing that trend. And that's what we want to do. We want to get out of that pandemic trend that went down in FY21. So current ops is up to 1.8 million. New gifts and pledges, we're going to try to get that up. That's up to 2.58 from last year, which was just under 1 million. Total cash received is at 1.8 on the far right in the green. That again is moving in the positive direction. The next slide I'm going to go to here is talk a little bit about Queens Fund and alumni donors. That's actually we have these specifically on the slide together because they often go together. We're a little bit behind in alumni donors right now, but as you can see, those numbers are very low. We're expecting about 2,000 alumni donors between now and June 30. we're just getting started out of the gate. We strategically placed more of our soliciting at the end of October and in November to align with all of our events and programming. We didn't want to do that in September before we had all these powerful things happening on campus. So we're hoping to see some gains pretty quickly with our alumni donors and their participation very, very, very soon. So Queen Fund is going really well, 339,000. Nancy Ralston's got to feel really good about that. There's a lot of work going on in the Queen's Fund right now. So we're sitting pretty good there. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about other work that's happening in advancement. So, we've missed a couple of years with reunions, but not this year. If you could see we're going to triple the number of classes that are returning to campus in the fall. 600 alumni representing 36 classes expected to attend. That's the single largest alumni gathering in the last decade. That's pretty incredible. So the work that's being done right now is working with the class committees, which is, as you can imagine, hundreds of alumni right now are gathering to think about what their class affinity, giving is going to look like in the spring. And what does that mean? That means in addition to the 50th reunion giving, right, we have a lot more. We've got 5 more challenges this year that we typically don't have at Queens. So that's something new this year. We're having a 20th, a 25th, 30th, 50th, and 55th reunion class challenge, which will bring in additional philanthropy to support Queens. So we're very excited about that. But that takes a lot of work to get those, Carrie's nodding over there. It takes a lot of work to get these folks on board and to get them to help with peer asking and peer, motivating their peers to get excited about reunion. I want to talk a little bit about our alumni board chair, Erica Ellis Stewart, class of 96. She right now is reimagining the role of what the alumni board is looking like right now. She's figuring out governance and volunteer structures, all to support deeper engagement and support from the Alumni Association. We've had our initial meeting a few weeks back. We are thinking about other really interesting ways to include the alumni board in our giving and in our affinity building. And so that's going really strong. We're very excited about that. And I want to end here on talking about investing in champions. It's our current athletics fundraising micro campaign that we've got out on Give Campus right now. Please, please, please jump on Give Campus. I don't have the URL on here, but type in Give Campus Queens University Athletics and you're going to go right to it. What we want to do is, it's another couple of weeks. We want to gain some momentum there, and really to start to really, get people excited about giving to different teams. So please jump on that and climb aboard there. So we have some new staff members, new talent we're bringing in to do all of these events, to do all of this fundraising and achieve the goals that we want to achieve for Queens. We have to bring on some new talent. We've got 2 alumni. Carol Ann Crump, 21, wedding coordinator. Carol Ann, I'm not sure if you're in here today, but want to just shout out to you. Chris Sanders, assistant technical director, will be spending a lot of time, imagine, in this facility. Caitlin Sunga, external events coordinator. And then we have Robert Koch, first day for Robert and Charmaine. Robert is Senior Director of Engagement and Giving, and Charmaine Lewis is an alumna 98, and P25, her son Dylan, is a baseball star. She's Associate Director of Digital Engagement. So those are all our new folks that we've got aboard in advancement and external relations, but it takes a big village. And we've set a really high bar this semester, and we're going to keep it going. So thank you to everyone for joining us on your first day. So thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Sarah.
Hey everyone, so we're going to bring this home with the 90-second academic affairs lightning round, and yes, there's going to be a quiz. So first, SACs, they're coming. There's a lot of standards. People have written a lot of stuff. Greg Pillar is going to start turning green again because we're going to get the report of the offsite committee in about 2 weeks. Watch Greg slowly slink in his chair as I acknowledge that. So, friendly reminder, this is a year-long process, and so more to come as we learn more about what other information our accreditor wants from us, how else they might like us to document our compliance with all of their requirements. I'm very happy to shout out a project that we've had accepted through AAC&U and Lumina Foundation. This will be a project on really documenting and finding through, sort of a good assessment process, the impact of civic engagement activities for students. So thanks to my colleagues who are teaching 300 level learning communities this year, this is the focus of this project. So we'll have Jeff Thomas and Nicole Tarr and Daniel Terry and Maggie Cummins really working together with some other colleagues on using that as a way to work through what it really means to not only know that we offer civic engagement opportunities and courses, but that we really can actually better understand the impact that has for students. So excited, this is good company to be in, as you can see from the slide. Also awesome. So our crew in the Vanderveer Center for Career Development, we were all worried, understandably, about our class of 2020, particularly our TUG class, and what kind of headwinds they faced and all of that. So 96% of folks a year out were employed in graduate school, completing an internship for a service organization. So there's a great media piece available on the website. You can look at the really stellar quality we have for graduate schools and for employers and service organizations. So I encourage you to visit the First Destination report if you have not yet. Also, there's a library, but we'd really like a revised and renovated library, right, Carolyn? So we have engaged an architectural and design firm, Morris Berg, Moody Nolan. They bring great partnership in terms of nationally known projects and quality of work, while also having a home office through the partnership here in Charlotte. So they're right down the street from us. So very excited to be kicking this project off. This is just some appetizers. These are some of their projects. For those of you who have driven past CP these days, and you know they have a new student success center sort of being built, they are the lead on that project. So they've done some really amazing work, a lot of experience with academic projects, with higher ed projects. They are known for having what they characterize as their responsive approach to architecture. So they'll do a lot of iterative work with all of us here on campus, start out with a lot of ideas and then get down to an idea. And so they're already helping us think differently about the location of our library on campus, and the fact that, I don't know, people walk around it right now, rather maybe than through it, as much as the ways we might wish they would or could. So already starting to help us think maybe differently about what things could look like. So these are just some appetizers from when they actually came for their interview here on campus and were helping us think about their process and what it might result in for us. We are already started on this project, so I know this is a little bit of an eye chart up here, but the important part is we are where the dotted box is. We are in the sort of beginning of this design phase, so there are a lot of folks online and in this room who have been invited and will be invited to engage in some ideation sessions, and so that'll take about 120 to 140 days, and we hope by the time of the February board meeting, President Lugo will have something meaningful he can share with them, since certainly this will be a large philanthropy project. Definitely some welcomes in academics, but some of these folks are not new to Queens, just coming back in new roles. So Alexandra, certainly. Lakeisha Rios is new. We welcome her. Rob is a familiar face. He joins us in the library. And then also Holly Van Kirken and also Eliza White. So these are faces you may have already seen on campus, and some of them are also familiar. One other thing I'm going to do, though, is also, I know, look, just what you wanted, Dan. I'm ending with your face on the slide. So it is my great pleasure to sort of ask you to all join me and us in celebrating Dan having been named Charlotte Business Journal's one of their most admired CEOs for 2021. So we know we have an awesome president, but it's really, really exciting to see that Charlotte knows it too. So it's a great pleasure to just see your leadership validated in that way. And so that is my transition to announcements.
All right, thank you. Super kind. That was some speed updating, and I know folks are going to need to go. We have at least one update. Sarah Henley, you are positioned to do that. But folks that are at home, you can actually send an email to specialevents@queens.edu, specialevents@queens.edu if you want to chime in. But Sarah, please, I think you've got one baked in.
Good morning. So I just wanted to let you guys know that Rocktober may end, but we'll still be presenting international acclaimed musicians here in Sandra Levine Theater. If you don't recognize Chris Thiele's name, you would recognize his music. He is a founder of Nickel Creek and Punch Brothers. and has worked on all kinds of projects. So encourage you to join us for that performance on Saturday, November 20th at 8 o'clock. All tickets are $10 off for faculty, staff, with the code Queen's Family, except for the cheapest seats, which are $25. We're trying to make this accessible. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Looking forward to that. So there are mics at the front of the theater in these rows. So please come on down. Is there anything?
Not yet.
From side stage? No. So just want to mention that I'm deeply honored by the recognition by the Charlotte Business Journal, even though I intentionally sped by that because it's not something I want to do. But one thing that I want to say is thank you to the folks that put forward a nomination. I really appreciate y'all doing that. So thank you. All right, announcements. Come on down.
Price is Right. Woo. Good morning, almost afternoon. Those of you who work with me know what I'm going to talk about, but because it's consuming my entire life. But the week before Christille comes in, we have another wonderful event on this very stage, which is our students, not just in music. If you think this is a music presentation, it's not just music. It's also involves my colleague Bob Page and Joe Cornelius in the communication department. It involves Ivan DePena and his students in design who are designing the sets. It involves our instrumental musicians and our singers and our vocal faculty and all these people to put on a full production of the wonderful Gilbert and Sullivan comic musical, HMS Pinafore, which was supposed to go up 2 years ago, but we all know what happened. So it is long delayed, it is long anticipated, and we put posters out on the stands as you walked in. If you feel so moved, grab one and share with your students. This is a true university arts-wide event, and we're really, really excited. I'm biased, but I think it's going to be absolutely fabulous. So it's November 13th at 7:30, and then 2 performances on November 14th, 3 o'clock and 7:30 p.m. So please come watch our students shine, not just in music, but in communications and design and makeup and lights and sound and all the wonderful disciplines that go together towards making an opera work. Thank you.
Awesome. Very much looking forward to that. Also enjoyed seeing the new Queen's Chamber Orchestra perform this past week. Anything coming in? Anything more for the good of the order? Please do come on forward. Seeing no muscle fibers twitching, I will thank each and every one of you for all that you do for Queens and hope that you have a great, great afternoon. Thanks for being with us.